Have you ever noticed how people change the moment you stop being easy to control? One day, they're all smiles, friendly, supportive, even praising you. The next, it's as if you've done something wrong. Their tone sharpens. Their silence grows louder. But here's the truth, it's not that you've changed, it's that you've stopped being manageable. And when certain people lose their grip on you, they don't walk away. They fight back, but not with fists. They use guilt, silence, and manipulation. Especially as we age, our peace and independence become sacred. So ask yourself, are they upset with you, or just upset they no longer hold power over you? Let's find out. Here's a truth many people realize too late. When someone can no longer control you, they don't simply let go, they shift strategies. They don't shout or demand. Instead, they guilt you. They twist your words. They plant subtle doubts, hoping you'll break yourself from the inside. This isn't about right or wrong, it's about power. And when you stop reacting the way they expect, you threaten the balance they depend on. Especially as we get older, we understand the cost of peace. Manipulators don't need chains, they use confusion, silence, and false concern. But once you see their game for what it is, you take the first step toward real freedom. 1. They manipulate you in subtle, sophisticated ways. Manipulation rarely starts with shouting or demands. It's quieter than that. It's a sigh. A carefully chosen phrase. A guilt-laced compliment that makes you second-guess your own judgment. When someone realizes they can't control you directly, they often resort to emotional manipulation, and for older adults who value peace and harmony, this can be especially draining. They might say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "You're the only one who understands me, please, don't let me down." These words sound harmless, even loving, but they're carefully designed to pull you back into their orbit. They're not asking for help. They're testing your boundaries. Sometimes, they play the victim, exaggerating their hardship so you feel compelled to rescue them. Other times, they flatter you in ways that feel a little too calculated. "You're so good at this, I don't know what I'd do without you," they say, right before asking you to do something you'd rather not. The goal is the same, to keep you responding, explaining, adjusting, until you're no longer living by your own values, but by their emotional cues. Stoic philosophy teaches us that real strength lies in self-control, not in controlling others. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the heart of it. Manipulators don't want logic. They want your reaction. They want your guilt, your anxiety, your emotional compliance. But you don't have to give it to them. The moment you recognize the pattern, everything shifts. You stop explaining. You stop defending. You meet their tactics with calm silence or a simple, "No, that won't work for me." It may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've always been the peacemaker, but it's one of the most liberating choices you can make. A wise person once said, "You can't control how others act, but you can control what you allow." So, when someone begins to pull those subtle strings, pause. Ask yourself, is this truly a request, or is it a disguised demand? You've lived long enough to know your worth. You don't need to prove it through constant emotional gymnastics. Let your calm, your clarity, and your quiet refusal be the answer. That's how you reclaim your peace and your power. 2. They spread rumors and twist the truth. When some people lose control over you, they don't walk away gracefully. Instead, they turn to something far more damaging, rumors and quiet deception. Rather than confront you openly, they attack your reputation behind closed doors, reshaping how others see you. It's a cruel tactic, and for many older adults who value their integrity and long-build relationships, it cuts especially deep. These individuals won't say anything outright to your face. But suddenly, people begin to treat you differently. You notice whispers when you walk into a room. Invitations stop arriving. A friend you've known for years seems distant. And you're left wondering, what changed? Here's the hard truth: someone didn't like that they couldn't control you, so they started controlling the narrative instead. It's not about truth, it's about power. Twisting facts and spreading gossip gives them influence without ever having to take responsibility. It's psychological warfare in its quietest form. But this is where Stoic wisdom offers a powerful shield. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are unaffected by what is said, you have already won." That's not to say words can't sting, but it reminds us that dignity is found in how we respond, not in chasing down every lie. When you react with anger, when you rush to defend yourself against every false story, you play into their hands. Instead, let your character do the talking. The truth doesn't need to shout, it just needs time. People who truly know you will begin to notice the difference between who you are and who you're being portrayed to be. Think of rumors like mud. The more you flail in it, the messier you get. But if you stand still, let it dry, and walk on, it brushes off, while your character remains intact. If you're facing falsehoods right now, pause before you respond. Don't engage with those who thrive on gossip. Don't waste your energy trying to correct every misconception. Instead, stay grounded, live with integrity, and let the truth rise, because it always does. In the end, what others say behind your back is not your burden. What matters is who you are when you stand alone. And for those who speak the truth with their lives, lies never last. 3. They play the victim to manipulate public perception. Not all manipulation is loud. Some of the most deceptive tactics come disguised in vulnerability. When a person realizes they can no longer control you directly, they often flip the script. They make you the villain and cast themselves as the innocent victim. Suddenly, they're telling others how you've wronged them, how they tried their best, and how deeply they were hurt by your actions. It's not about seeking understanding, it's about gathering sympathy. Their goal is simple: if they can't make you bend to their will, they'll make others turn against you instead. This tactic is especially common among people who don't want to take responsibility. Instead of owning their behavior, they rewrite the story and play it for an audience. And for those of us who were raised to be kind, compassionate, and loyal, especially older adults, this kind of manipulation can hit hard. It's designed to make you feel guilty, to question your own truth, and to pressure you into apologizing just to keep the peace. But Stoic wisdom offers a powerful reminder here. As Epictetus once said, a wise man does not allow others to dictate his emotions. The moment you allow someone's false narrative to dictate your actions, you surrender your power. Here's the truth: real victims don't need to perform. They don't seek applause. And they certainly don't twist facts to control how others view someone else. People who play the victim to manipulate are not looking for healing, they're looking for leverage. So how do you respond? With calm. With grace. And most importantly, with clarity. Don't chase their story. Don't try to explain yourself to everyone. Let your actions, your consistency, and your dignity speak louder than their drama. I once knew a woman who turned every confrontation into a performance. The moment someone disagreed with her, she'd tell mutual friends she was attacked or blindsided. But over time, people started noticing the pattern. Every falling out had the same storyline, and she was always the victim. Eventually, the truth caught up with her. Remember, the people who truly know you won't be fooled. And those who are easily swayed by one-sided stories were never solid to begin with. Stand firm. Don't be dragged into their narrative. In the end, false victimhood crumbles under the weight of its own lies, while the truth stands tall in silence. 4. They try to isolate you from your support system. One of the most dangerous tactics manipulators use, especially when they can no longer control you, is isolation. They don't always attack you directly. Instead, they work quietly behind the scenes, planting doubts, twisting stories, and subtly turning others against you. Why? Because they know this: when you're surrounded by people who care about you, you're harder to control. But when you feel alone, you're vulnerable. This tactic often starts small. Maybe a friend pulls you aside and says, "I don't think you can really trust so-and-so." Or someone close to you suddenly seems distant, cold, without explanation. These aren't coincidences, they're signs that someone may be manipulating the relationships around you. And for older adults, whose social circles may naturally shrink over time, this kind of emotional sabotage can be especially painful. The sense of being cut off or misunderstood by those you've known for years doesn't just hurt, it can shake your sense of security. But Stoic wisdom provides powerful clarity here. Seneca once advised, associate only with those who improve you. Avoid those who pull you down. That guidance is more vital now than ever. If someone in your life is trying to isolate you, through gossip, exaggeration, or conflict, step back and observe. Are they stirring division? Do you feel more confused or alone after talking with them? That's not friendship. That's control disguised as concern. I remember an older gentleman who once shared that a relative slowly began turning his own children against him, spreading half-truths about past decisions, suggesting he was too controlling. At first, he tried to defend himself, to fix what had been broken. But then he realized he didn't need to chase anyone. Instead, he chose to remain consistent in character, open in love, and steady in truth. In time, some of those relationships healed naturally because real connection survives manipulation. So, how do you protect yourself? First, trust your gut. If someone's words consistently pull you away from others you once trusted, it's time to reevaluate. Second, nurture your real connections. The people who know your heart won't be fooled for long. And finally, let go of those who walk away easily. If someone is that quick to believe lies about you, they were never your foundation to begin with. Isolation is their tool. But your strength lies in connection and in staying grounded in who you truly are. 5. They plant seeds of doubt within you. Not all control comes through force. Sometimes, it shows up as a quiet voice that whispers, "Are you sure about that?" Maybe you're just overreacting. People who can't control you overtly will often try to weaken you from within, by making you doubt yourself. It begins subtly. They'll question your memory, your decisions, even your values. "You really think that's a good idea at your age?" "I don't think that's how it happened." These statements might sound like concern on the surface, but they're often meant to shake your confidence. And if you're not careful, you start second-guessing everything, your instincts, your past, your direction. For older adults, this tactic can feel particularly cruel. You've spent decades building wisdom, making hard decisions, and learning through experience. But manipulators will twist that. They'll say you're too stuck in your ways, too emotional, or too out of touch, not to help you grow, but to make you feel uncertain enough to need their approval. But Stoicism teaches that our strength lies not in pleasing others, but in trusting ourselves. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When someone tries to make you doubt your own voice, the best defense is calm clarity. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. Just stand firm. I once met a retired nurse who shared that her adult son constantly questioned her choices. "Why would you spend money on that? Do you even understand how that works anymore?" At first, she thought he was just being protective. But over time, she realized it wasn't care, it was control. Each time he questioned her, he chipped away at her independence, hoping she'd rely more and more on him. But when she stopped defending herself, when she calmly said, "I trust my judgment," the dynamic changed. He lost his grip. So how do you protect your mind from doubt planted by others? First, pause and ask, is this concern, or is it control? Second, reconnect with your track record. You've lived through challenges, raised families, worked hard, and endured. Your instincts aren't just valid, they're earned. And finally, stop over-explaining. Confidence doesn't need justification. When someone tries to make you question your worth, remember, your life experience is not a weakness. It's your greatest strength. Trust it. Stand by it. Let no one steal it. 6. They try to provoke you emotionally. When someone can no longer manipulate you through logic or guilt, they often turn to one final strategy: emotional provocation. They push your buttons on purpose. They say things designed to frustrate, embarrass, or enrage you. Not because they want to solve a problem, but because they want to watch you lose control. They might bring up past mistakes, make subtle insults in front of others, or act dismissive just to see if you'll snap. And when you do, they point the finger and say, "See? I told you they were difficult." It's a trap, and one many of us have experienced, especially as we age and begin to guard our peace more fiercely. But here's the truth: emotional self-control is one of the most powerful tools you possess. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That means when they try to get a rise out of you, the most powerful thing you can do is stay calm. Not indifferent, but grounded. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove anything. A calm gaze, a slight smile, a steady voice, that's how you hold power without ever raising it. I once spoke with a retired teacher who shared how her adult sibling would regularly bait her during family gatherings, bringing up old wounds, making sly remarks. For years, she defended herself, raised her voice, and left feeling drained. But eventually, she changed her approach. The next time he tried to provoke her, she looked at him, took a breath, and said, "Interesting perspective." Nothing more. He didn't know how to respond, because the script had changed. And the moment she stopped playing the game, he lost his power. So how do you deal with emotional provokers? First, recognize the pattern. If someone consistently stirs drama, especially when others are watching, it's not accidental, it's tactical. Second, pause. You don't owe anyone a reaction. And finally, walk away when needed. Not every battle deserves your time or energy. Your emotions are yours alone to govern. Don't hand them over to someone looking for a show. Because in a world full of noise, the one who stays quiet and steady is often the strongest person in the room. Let that be you. 7. They start imitating you. One of the strangest things people do when they realize they can't control you is they start copying you. At first, it might seem flattering. You change your routine, they change theirs. You start a new hobby, they suddenly discover the same interest. You share a perspective, and soon they're repeating it like it's their own. But look closer, and it becomes clear, they're not admiring you. They're trying to be you. Why? Because deep down, they know they've lost influence over you. And when control no longer works, imitation becomes their new strategy. It's not about learning from you, it's about absorbing your identity to reclaim power. But no matter how closely they mimic your steps, they'll always be one step behind. Think of it like a shadow. It may follow you everywhere, but it can never walk ahead of you. It reflects you, but it cannot become you. For older adults especially, who have spent years refining values, wisdom, and a sense of self, this kind of behavior can feel oddly invasive. You've worked hard to become who you are. You've earned your voice, your choices, your calm. So when someone tries to mirror it without doing the internal work, it feels hollow. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Character, not imitation, defines a person." True character comes from lived experience, not borrowed habits. And those who copy you without context reveal a simple truth: they don't yet know who they are. I remember speaking to a retired entrepreneur who had mentored a younger colleague. Over time, he noticed that this young man started dressing like him, quoting him in meetings, even taking credit for ideas that weren't his. At first, it felt like admiration. But eventually, it crossed into discomfort. The solution? He stopped sharing everything. He evolved quietly. And sure enough, the copycat couldn't keep up. So what can you do when someone begins to mimic you? First, don't take it personally. They're not taking from you, they're revealing their lack of identity. Second, keep growing. The more you evolve, the harder it becomes for someone to mirror your path. And finally, stay original. There's only one you. And that's your power. Let them imitate. While they follow, you lead. Always forward. Always yourself. Conclusion. When people try to control, provoke, or isolate you, the most powerful response isn't loud, it's calm. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength isn't in dominating others, but in mastering ourselves. As we age, peace becomes priceless. You don't need to argue, defend, or explain. Instead, observe. Stay composed. Set clear boundaries. When someone guilt trips you, say, "No, thank you." When rumors fly, let your actions speak. When they try to make you doubt yourself, trust your experience. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That freedom comes from choosing your reactions carefully. Walk away from games, stay true to your values, and hold your ground without apology. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Respond with dignity, not emotion. Because in the end, the Stoic path isn't about controlling others, it's about never letting them control you. That's the kind of freedom worth protecting. If people are pushing back, trying harder to guilt you, twist your words, or turn others against you, it's not because you've failed. It's because you've broken free. Their resistance is proof that you're no longer easy to manipulate. That you've chosen clarity over confusion, boundaries over chaos, and truth over approval. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth. So hold steady. When they lose control of you, they'll push harder, but that's how you know you're finally free. And freedom, at any age, is worth defending.